Hello and welcome to a new episode of Let's Play Company of Heroes. This is actually the first time I'm making use of the playback function. It didn't work for me for a while because there's a small file in the playback folder that was corrupted, but after deleting it, it started working, which is great. So I could bring you this wonderful little treat. So it has been a while since I uploaded my last video, and I was finally able to update my mod for the Blitzkrieg mod, and was able to play it with a friend of mine. So this is actually a co-op gameplay together with a friend against two normal AIs. So for those of you who are tuning in the first time, what this is all about is basically we are playing Company of Heroes, a wonderful game which is by now 10 years old, and we're using the great mod called Blitzkrieg. A big shout out to these guys. They did a phenomenal job adding new units, updating textures, and much more. And on top of that, we are using my very own custom mod that, again, changes a lot of things, mostly in favor of realism, but also some gameplay changes. I will talk about this in a second. So on the northeastern side is where my friend is playing. We're both playing the Axis. He's playing Panzer Lead. I'm the normal Axis. He's also a seasoned StarCraft player, so together we are trying to overcome the odds by beating the normal AI. So, besides the Blitzkrieg mod, my mod is changing basically three main elements. It is changing, first and foremost, the entire weapon handling and so on and so forth. It was always my goal to use the great mechanics and physics of the game to really get the maximum out of weapons handling, accuracy, reload times, cooldown times, you name it. Basically to try to get an immersive and realistic battlefield scenario, and that also challenges you in many ways of gameplay. So basically being in the open, not in cover, could get your units killed rather quickly. Cover protects you very well, so firefight could last very long. Reload times are very accurate. Ranges I try to keep as accurate as possible without limiting the gameplay factor too much, and so on and so forth. On the economical level, we have changed a lot when it comes to income and upkeep. So let's talk upkeep. Upkeep means that all of the units you see, they cost not only initial manpower and so on and so forth, but they're also gonna cost you over time. So when you have infantry, they're gonna cost you infantry points, basically reducing the amount of income you have. When you have tanks, they cost fuel to be maintained so that they can drive. So again, it costs you fuel over time and reduces the amount of fuel you get. And ultimately, when you have tanks, when you have AT and placement and so on, well, guess what? They're gonna cost you ammunition. So, and finally, and this is what this video is all about, is I've changed the AI, and I'm a big fan of co-op. I don't know how about you guys, but I love playing co-op with my friends, mostly against the AI. In Company of Heroes, this is just a really great feeling to do. And one of the things I really was always a bit sad about is that the AI was just so bad. I mean, really, it was just horrible. If at all, it built mostly the same type of units, and then it kept throwing them at you, and you kept killing them. And once you had a good defensive position, you could just hold it and ultimately just overwhelm the enemy. And it was just a really sad sight. So I took it upon myself since 2 years now to really change a lot of aspects for the AI, making the AI harder, making it better, making it more efficient, and making it use all the abilities and features that this game, and specifically Blitzkrieg, has to offer. So now what happens is, of course, first and foremost, I was able to reduce and ultimately now actually remove the cheat multiplier because the AI doesn't need it anymore. The AI is now retaining its units and retreating when he is about to lose them. So it's gonna grow over time. Secondly, it's gonna make very good use of upgrading and capturing all these resource points, so it also gets the maximum out of there. And ultimately, it just keeps making smart decisions. You know, it builds the right units to counter your unit selection, and it attacks with more than just one section at the same time. and he uses very smart tactics. And some of these tactics you might be able to see in this gameplay video. So I've switched off the fog of war so you can see both sides and really can see what's happening. One thing you can already see is that the AI is not anymore just pushing straight to your base and trying to get to you, but what is he doing now is he's actually trying to use some decent flanking positions and defensive positions. So let's look at the scenario unfold. We've got an infantry section in the front, setting up some sort of a defensive position, another one in the back, and then we got two other infantry sections now trying to advance to the manpower point and the fuel point in the back. So obviously my friend was smart enough to build a nice trench and has his units now in a good cover position, and so this initial attack, especially with the quite elite units that he has in infantry, obviously fails. But what happens is that the AI is retreating before he loses all the units. And even though he wasn't able to capture the point, he still kept the units more or less alive, at least the section itself. The other units who are in the back, you might wonder why they're not engaging. Well, the good thing about this is they're preventing any counterattack. So if I were to use my units from the north side and trying to pinch in the units over to the south, well, I would first have to fight through these other defensive units as well, that, by the way, we didn't know about. It's fog of war, so you don't know how many enemies really are out there until you make your move. And when you do, it's too late and you realize, well, there was a hornet's nest that just stung, so that was a bad decision in the first place. So what you can see is you're going to have a multitude of infantry units that are moving smartly using fire maneuver tactics, meaning one unit is moving, the other one is covering, and so on and so forth. And you're going to have also units who are just going to stay in position and basically making an ambush if you move in. So this is the current situation. So they're now poking and prodding, knowing, okay, I can't engage there anymore. It's just the defenses are just too good, and you got to be honest. My friend did a good job here. It's like lots of infantry inside the building, trenches, vehicle, small AT. Good. All right, you can't beat it. So why keep throwing bodies at this? So the only right thing to do here is, guess what? Building mortars. And this guy, this AI, and I'm telling you, this is not a human player, he was really smart about this. He got two mortars, infantry in the front to give them vision, nice out of sight, and then he's starting to pound on the defense of my friend from afar. And in the back you can see more and more infantry just in defensive positions to make sure that the mortar is well protected. So while this is going on, the only choice that you have is actually using your most mobile unit, which is the swim wagon in this case, to see if you can get close enough to the mortar to engage it. The problem is the mortar is of course also in fairly decent cover, yellow cover, gives them some bonuses. And you can't get any closer because you don't know whether there's infantry just waiting in the next bushes for you. So that's one issue. Here, one of the things you should do is, if the mortar specifically shifts focus, is you gotta move. I mean, just staying here and trying to engage, not really the smart thing, because, well, eventually one of these mortars is gonna hit you and then you're gonna lose the vehicle. He's pulling additional infantry to assist, but now with the mortar gun and, yeah, rangers coming to the fray, this is gonna get more and more difficult. So this would be the time to retreat, because otherwise you're just gonna lose all of them. And rebuilding an entire section is always not only more costly, but also more time consuming than just reinforce it. So you can see now that the mortar has been, of course, detected. It moves to another position, out of sight again, as you can see, and it's gonna re-engage. So what happens after the AI detected that the initial assault failed because there was just too much defenses going on, it regroups, gets more units, in this case also heavy MG and so on and so forth, and then engages again from a distance, always keeping the units busy, preventing a counterattack from being successful. So yeah, another two sections coming in, one section is about to retreat, and here we go. The mortar barrage is continuing. So this attempt to try to get close enough to the mortar, I don't think is such a smart one, because first of all, sprinting through open ground, you're very susceptible to enemy fire. Second of all, there's just too much infantry there. Okay, granted, he most likely didn't see it before he ran in there, but the result is he lost an entire section. So that's already second section gone without success. That's quite unfortunate. But I have to say kudos to the AI in the way he's playing it. It's very smart. So another thing which we completely missed in the background is that the AI in the meantime was able to capture this absolutely crazy important point. If you quickly check the map, this point connects all these outer points with the base. So if we lose this manpower point, we're actually losing all of these points as well. So that's one of the things happening. So ultimately my friend asked me, well, you gotta help me or we lost. And a lucky hand grenade finally took care of these nuisance. Well, more than just a nuisance, I would say. And ultimately I was also able to get my first vehicle out. It's an armored vehicle with a 20mm. And yeah, the AI is retreating. So this is also one of the things that you're gonna see happen more and more is if the AI notices that you're overwhelming either because of manpower or weapons, it's pulling back. It doesn't want to fight you. It's gonna regroup, it's gonna get AT or heavy weapons itself, and that's gonna make it also more hard to pin it and to give it an ultimate blow. And how we can afford all these units and later on tanks is by upgrading everything to observation points. There we go. This is very useful, so let's quickly see. He already has this one. We upgrade this one, so and then let's see, and another one over here. So each of these points by default give you 4 fuel. They are normal fuel points. Now if you upgrade them, they give you 6, which is 50% extra. And if you do this with 3 points, you basically have 1.5 extra fuel point under your control at any given time, and that can make a huge of a difference if you do this over time. I was able to get one of the fuel points upgraded, but I didn't have enough resources because I spent most of them in other units like snipers to do the rest. Now I would have enough, but well, guess what? I forgot it. Anyways, so yeah, the AI is now flanking. It's always trying to move around. Fortunately, my friend was able to finally push him back. And again, none of these 3 sections are down, which means you're gonna have to fight with them another day. So at least for now, this seems to be a successful defense, and together with the 2 armored vehicle and now the AT and the infantry and you name it, we're actually able to take control over here. And there's still some enemies in the background. 2 sections over here, but they're cut off from their friendly units, and at least so far I would say, yeah, it's going quite well. We're now able to capture another fuel point on the top, and so this goes well. But I think you can see it already. There we go. We've got a lot of infantry advancing from the north. So basically what happened, the enemy regrouped, it healed, reinforced, and it engages with a big oomph. And so even though these Panzer Grenadiers are quite elite units, they're rather expensive. It's just the amount of bullets, you know? It's like, there's just so many guns pointed at you. No matter how good you are and what good position you are, it's just too much. And so, yeah, the only way here is, and that's what he did, is to retreat. So now the AI really knows where the defenses are over here, and it avoids it. I mean, that's the smartest thing to do. If you can't beat it, avoid it. Split and try to re-engage. So this is what's going on over here right now. The infantry has split up. I need to say that one of the reasons why the allies have more than my friend with the Panzer Elite is because they're cheaper. An infantry section, a normal one like a rifleman, costs 190 manpower, while the Panzer Grenadiers, I think 240 or 270. So they are quite considerably more expensive. On a one-on-one fight, they're also more efficient, but yeah, it's a numbers thing. If you have too many on the other side, you'll be not being able to succeed. And so here they got the first AT up, and that's the natural enemy of my armored vehicles, so I have to pull back. I keep my units in a more or less defensive position. I don't want to overextend here, so I'm just gonna hold there. And that point is on our control anyway, so why go any further? So yeah, the goal here is still to somehow keep this position and fight off the attacks who now are happening basically 360. So this is a very challenging battle. And while this is happening, you can see another rather large contingency of units, the ones that probably has fought earlier, as you can see, they have already some kills, has now advanced to the fuel point on the north. 3 of them, one of them capturing, another one covering. And yeah, so there's just nothing I can do about this. I build up my mortar now, And yeah, I could advance with these units, but it's 1 against, I think I saw 3, now they're just 2, okay. But it's always difficult, so I pulled these units for assistance before moving in, and that was a bit too late. So on the map you can see we got multiple infantry advancing over the center. So they're really trying to avoid our defenses now, moving always over the center area. And what they're also doing is they are using infantry to give sight to the AT in the back. So the AT can shoot much longer ranges if it's able to see. And with these infantry it was able to see and ultimately destroy the half-track of my colleague. And this is also now the first tank. So you're wondering why do we have light vehicles and they have nothing? Well, because they were saving up. They had of course already the superiority in fuel over a long period of time with all the upgrades, and were just saving up the fuel until they got the kind of vehicle that they needed to push. And what you can see here is it's a very massive push with 4 sections, another section coming in the back, 1 more on the left, so we're now up to 6. Flamethrower now at the trench, so the trench has to be evicted immediately, otherwise all these units are bound to die and burn, as you can see here. And yeah, and this armored vehicle, yeah, guess what? It's under attack itself. So this is the new type of AI you have to face if you want to play this. It's just much more challenging, and it doesn't need to cheat just because of the changes that have happened. And so yeah, it's looking very dire actually right now, because it's just so many units. You're gonna have all these infantry. You're gonna have AT protecting the infantry against my armored vehicle, and even though our units are more expensive, we can't hold our ground, and it is very difficult. So let's see what's happening at our base. Now the tank destroyer has moved forward. That was a light vehicle just took care of by the defensive. Tank destroyer is somewhat close to the base, and he's not really engaging right now, but I don't have anything to do with it. And one of the reasons why it is not engaging is it is waiting for reinforcements. So one of the things that happen a lot these days is that there's not one, but there are multiple vehicles and mostly infantry as well engaging together in conjunction. And all of a sudden the situation becomes much more dangerous. While engaging one tank is often doable, let's say it, but having 2 tanks and maybe even infantry next to it, you all of a sudden have to deal with so much more firepower and so much more armor that this is really hard to do. So in this case I upgrade my infantry plus another infantry, and then I'm using both of them to engage. And fortunately, since those are not Germans, they're not so strong against infantry. And okay, that was a miss. There was 25 ammo down the drain, but yeah, I think over time I should be able one of these rockets hit. There we go. And my friend has another AT team ready as well. So this push is not going to be successful. He could pull back the tank now, seeing that he's isolated. Well, now he's doing a bit too late, but yeah. Okay, I've got some units dying over here. There we go. We got an infantry team, rangers team advancing. If these units would have arrived on the battlefield 30 seconds earlier, this entire battle would have looked very different, because with the infantry and the tanks, we wouldn't have been able to take down the tanks so easily. Most likely we would have lost them. So the timing here was a bit off, but still, it's very, very difficult. And now, all of a sudden, as you can see on the map, the majority of points are in the hand of the enemy, or about to be in the hand of the enemy. So, yeah, there we go. This is getting problematic, and you have massive amounts of infantry now pushing. And I've got my first tank up, so it's time to give a little bit of the taste back to the AI. So, yeah. Here we go. Time to engage. And, yeah. As I said earlier, the AI makes very good use of all the abilities. In this case, they are like sticky bombs. They don't really destroy tanks most of the cases, but they can damage or destroy the tracks, or in this case, the engine. So the problem here is now my tank is really slow, and over here we've got a first Sherman on the battlefield. And now the enemy is shifting its attack, as it seems, towards the north. It recaptured captured one of the points from us. It's now trying to capture another point over here. I did lay some mines there, didn't I? Oh yeah. Oh, I did. So this is something you should do a lot. Placing mines next to these ammo or fuel points, because that, at least for the initial attack, it prevents the AI from taking the point. And as you can see now, all of a sudden, multiple tanks, multiple vehicles, all engaging from the north side. Fortunately for me, I got my Sturmgeschütz ready and good to go, so it really is able to dish out some damage, and together with the infantry next to it, I think this attack should go in our favor. Yeah, I'm fairly certain about this. This is not enough to overrun our defensive, even though he has 2 stewards, but the stewards won't be able to kill my Sturmgeschütz, which is also upgraded now. And there's 1 down. Let's see. There's the other one. And now all that is left is the Sherman on the north. So that goes rather well. So that's one situation under control. And the infantry, this is just not enough. I've got mortar, I've got infantry myself. My units are also upgraded and now in veterancy status. And yeah, it looks like the Sherman is actually fleeing, or at least driving away. And as you can see here, this is really smart. Look at this. This guy is driving on the edge and now actually out of sight. So he's really trying to avoid the tank now as much as he can, and trying to combine these forces and engaging from the north. Unfortunately, for him, I did see that, and I pushed forward with my tank, and yeah, this ain't gonna be successful, my friend. Steward versus Sturmgeschütz. I think that's a one-sided battle. There we go. It's all about positioning at the end in the game anyhow. The better your position is, the more easy you have ability. This is actually bad that I lose this ammo point over here, because it really upgrades my income from, I think, 9 to 15. So losing, again, 50% of the income right there. That's gonna sting. I don't know why I don't push with the tank. I think I'm afraid of more tanks coming, and I didn't want to give up this position. So I pulled back, and as you can see here, the AI also puts units into ambush positions itself. Now, in this case I had myself a nice attack squad ready, so I was able to deal with that. If that would have been a Sherman, however, I think the result would have been quite different. So as you can see, the AI is now trying to avoid my defenses completely, flanking me from the north. He's actually trying to get the point now, and I really have to get more proactive. This is important because I'm gonna have tanks, one here. Okay, this was actually a small vehicle which got destroyed. Another steward, now flanking also from the north around. And yeah, fortunately I have another Sturmgeschütz ready, and with this I'm able to, I should be able to take care of these 2 flankers. There you go, one is down. And was now pulling back. I think he's not pulling back. That's not a good choice, my friend. You should have pulled back. There we go. That's actually still quite spectacular, these explosions. They're really nice. So yeah, I think here we've thwarted the attack. I am just way too passive. This is not good. I mean, losing all these points, yeah, there's more infantry coming, but honestly, giving all these points away to the AI, and we already don't have control of this point over here. That's just bad. This is not good. And ultimately, it gives this kind of edge to the enemy to be able to build more tanks and more infantry that is able to allow him to win the game. So I should have been more active on the top, definitely. That was not a good idea. And so again, you see 2 tanks grouping together and then most likely advancing to the east towards the base, plus infantry in the rear. Usually this infantry should have been close to the tanks or maybe even in the front, but that's okay. And yeah. So I've got 1 tank here and the other one I placed here. And I should have gone here and here to take these 2 points and not be so scared of these units, because now I give all the opportunity to advance. So here's my 3rd Sturmgeschütz. I'm also slowly starting to build up on my tank count, and as you can see here, it really cuts into your income. So far I think I have 5 vehicles on the field. My Sturmgeschütz, which is over here. I also have my Ostwind, and ultimately another Sturmgeschütz over here and 2 on the north. So 5 vehicles, and the result is I just have 8 income because I also haven't upgraded my fuel points anymore. And at the same time, the AI obviously has upgraded all his points, so I think his income might be quite a bit higher. Let's quickly check. Yeah, it's 18. So it's not that high, but with the amount of fuel he already saved from earlier, it's quite good. The reason, by the way, why the income of manpower is lower is because he has more infantry on the battlefield. Or now it is not that much anymore, but he used to have quite a bit, and so that's much lower. And also this is a sign that the AI is actually not cheating and just making good use of all the income he has. And here you see another fuel point after being destroyed, immediately being repaired. So he always has all these income. Yeah, 2 tanks on the south, another infantry team. That just doesn't look good for us, does it? This looks really, really bad. I mean, how do you deal with this? Okay, the AT here obviously is a good position, but only defensively, and as long as he's gonna keep his defenses on his side, as you can see, he's also very defensive by just massing up his units. I think it's a matter of time until he has this kind of overwhelming force that when he pushes, is able to overrun this position, or he just maybe completely avoids it in the first place. Let's see. Anyhow, you can see he's building up. He's clearly building up in tanks and vehicles, and then once he feels he has enough, in this case there are 4 already altogether, that is quite dangerous. And okay, there are 2 AI, so they're working together very nicely. But one of the things that you can see, if we would have kept our tanks together, we also would have 4 tanks that we could use. And that's as devastating as it is actually quite amazing. All these AT units, they are now gone. I think it was a Jeep, was it? Yeah, it was this Jeep who fired. So he used the light artillery to actually soften up the defensive. The defense is over here taking care of these things and then advancing with it. Not bad. Not bad at all. Now in this case we still have quite some good infantry, as you can see, and our position with that tank is still strong enough to hold it, but it was definitely a nice thing. So let's check out what's going on over here. 2 stewards at the base. Yeah, I mean over time theoretically they would be able to do damage. I mean the buildings take damage. But I think I should have some units nearby to deal with that. Yeah, indeed, here we go. So, having this vehicle around, actually the armored car, not so sure if that was a good choice. If you think about it, this car uses fuel, yet it's not good enough anymore to penetrate the armor even of these stewards properly. So the main problem you're gonna have is you're gonna have fuel being bound by this vehicle that is only very good against very light vehicles and infantry. And keeping this vehicle in late game, it prevents you from buying other things, and that's actually the bigger issue. So I should have used this one and actually advanced and lost it by trying to take as much infantry out as possible rather than trying to keep it. So let's see. Okay, so we got another push, another 2 tanks advancing from the middle or over the middle. Infantry team next to it. This one is already already sustained some damage. So now they're pushing. And this is again, it poses a real threat because my Ostwind is not able to deal with the tank destroyer. He would be able to deal with this one, but yeah, so that's an issue. But in any case, that's a problem. That's a real deal, because I have to pull my defenses from other places and to be able to deal with this particular threat. And here I should actually have just left the tank and just lost it and used additional income to buy something bigger later on. Okay, let's see what's going on over here. Looked like a attack, but yeah, not really successful. And again, I didn't advance here. That was not good. There would have been a chance to advance. Obviously, it's really easy to say if you see everything, but I did see that point, and I did see someone of that other point, so it could have worked. Now, my friend is not to blame that he doesn't advance, because obviously, there you go. Look at this. This is really nasty. So he's really using this artillery on long ranges to just soften up the defenses. So that he can't attack, it's actually obvious. He just has some infantry, and the tank is mine, so he can't use that one. And AT over here, so he's really just entrenched and just tries to hold on to the little points he has. But the bigger deal is that we have tank right at our base, and another tank over here. So with the infantry I can't get close enough to Shermans because of the 50 caliber machine gun on top. This is just a beast, you know. Shermans are really hard when it comes to infantry. I mean, infantry are very difficult to get close enough, so I guess in this case the only way to deal with this is just pull one of the tanks and just try to engage it from the side or flank it. But there's a constant stream of tanks now, and here's the same issue we had before. Now again, we lost this point, it's not any longer in our control, and with it we lost 4 additional income points, so all together it's 5. So you lose effectively 2 manpower points, 2 fuel points, and 1 ammunition point, all because he takes this point. That's, man, this is really bad. This is very painful. And yeah, so I lost my Ostwind here apparently. I already lost earlier another tank over here. So this looks more and more dire, to be honest. I think, if I'm honest, this doesn't look good, like we could win this anymore at this stage of the game. All of these points is connected. Look at our income, 4, 20 and 185. There's no tank in here that I can build anymore. So the only thing which would be an idea is to pull back the tanks, all of them, and try to deal with the pending threat. Because as you can see, they're all marching effectively across the middle road, avoiding our defenses. And they're just too many. And yeah, it's a nice try to get the Panzer Grenadiers to take down this tank destroyer, which apparently is quite damaged. But it's just a numbers game. Okay, this one seems to be also quite damaged from a battle earlier, but it's still deadly, you know. It can still fire, and the turret still seems to be operational. So my unit is in a defensive position over here. That is actually not bad. I mean, as long as the tank has to drive in there, I can get off the first shot, and more often than not, this first shot is what counts. But there are just so many. Just look at the minimap. Just how much units are now basically combining. All of the rest of the map is empty. The AI is pulling his units together, regrouping at one point, and then pushing there. So, fortunately for me, my units is a very good defensive position. But yeah, still, it's just a matter of time until they're flanking me from here. Plus, we have the promise that it looks like the tanks are now advancing actually towards my friend's base directly. So, well, I was able to finally take care of that Sherman, so that's one threat down. And let's have a look at their friend's base. There we go. We got a tank right at the base. That's the only remaining defense. The other one's already down. And then there are just the production buildings. And this one is already 50% damaged, so yeah. He is building a tank though, isn't he? Yep, he is building a tank, so that could help. But maybe it's just too little too late, if I'm honest. Because you see all these tanks and infantry flanking, and this one was in a bad position, by the way. And there's just more and more vehicles coming across the battlefield, straight to the base. And while you're trying to fight off the enemy at your base, you're not capturing ground, and you're losing ground, and all these resource points go to the enemy. So that's bad, I would say. So these two tanks on the right, they seem to have some sort of retard battle going on. Alright, I got a nice shot here. Sadly, the follow-up shot didn't work. So now it's down to this particular tank, and he just seems to do whatever. This is only one of the downsides of the AI here, because sometimes the micromanagement of the units, because they have to look into a specific direction, it's just, yeah, as you can see, it's just not working. You can't directly control units. So what happens is that, yeah, sometimes these units turn too slow or turn the wrong side, and then you lose them. And I think that's it. Yeah, you got 3 tanks at the base, no more defenses, and GG. There we go. Well, I hope you enjoyed the game. This was a quick preview of the submod that I've created, and if you like playing co-op, try it out yourself. It's definitely tons of fun. Big shout out to the guys from Blitzkrieg for their awesome work and making this all possible. And yeah, until next time, enjoy. Bye bye. Big tanks.